as Sean said, like if you feel like you want to say something different or you feel like you didn't give the answer you wanted to give, like there's no pressure. This is not live streaming anywhere or anything. At least that I know.
No.
So I was like, nope.
Yeah, so you could, like, if you're like, I didn't like that answer, let me do it again, you can do that and absolutely Sean can edit it.
Or if I'm like stuttering like a fool.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you'll do that. I know you well enough.
No, sometimes I'm lesdistic.
What is that?
Lesdistic?
Yeah.
It's dyslexic backwards.
Oh. I've never heard that. That's pretty sad. Because that's a hilarious joke, right? I don't know if I've ever heard.
Got me tearing up.
Welcome back to another episode of Fostering Communication. Today we've got with us none other than Liz Newton, who is one of three individuals that are still with Call Dad that is from the inaugural class of Call Dad University. So, CDU 1 alumni, welcome, Liz.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Well, this is strange. It's like we got a little activity going on out there.
Oh, yeah.
What in the world? That's got to bring you back to the old days.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
All right, tell me where you came from. I know you've got a background in some of this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Started out as a paramedic and then went to be an officer in Hickory, right?
It was actually Statesville. Yeah.
Statesville, okay.
Yeah, I was an officer for Statesville. And then towards the end of my law enforcement career, I moved to Lincoln County Sheriff's Office.
You started out, though, as a paramedic, is that right?
Yes.
Before you went into law enforcement?
Yes. So I got into that basically right out of high school.
Yeah. What made you pick that?
I wanted to go into the police academy, but you have to be 21.
Okay.
And also my parents were like hardcore against their daughter becoming an officer.
They didn't want you to at all?
No, they
Why
were
is that?
worried, the safety
okay.
and, all of that. So I did that. I really enjoyed it. It was about 6-7 years in total, and it ended up messing one of my shoulders up pretty bad.
So you did that longer than law enforcement?
Mm-hmm.
What ended up, you just enjoyed it and decided not to to go over?
Yeah, well, and this was during the time period that I was having my kids too.
Okay.
And I was working. There were time periods where I worked full time, but a lot of times it was a part time.
Yeah.
Part-time thing.
Which those schedules, they're pretty flexible, right? In the sense of they just need help all the time. So anytime that you can pick up shifts.
Yeah, a part-timer can pick up. You can work full-time more than full-time hours.
Yeah.
Even as a part-timer. So.
Yeah. One of my neighbors is, I can't remember the term of it, but it's a helicopter paramedic.
Oh, flight medic. Yeah.
So she still travels on a part-time basis up to D.C.
Oh, wow.
And is a flight medic there.
That's really cool.
Because I guess they're few and far between or something like that. So anybody who can pick up or is willing to pick up hours. So it's every 2 weeks she travels up to D.C. just to be a flight medic for I think it's like 3 or 4 days and then comes back.
It's so much fun. Those kind of jobs. I mean, there's heartbreaking times to
there's
it.
a lot of people who would
absolutely
disagree.
You never see the same thing twice.
Yeah.
And you're always having to figure it out on the fly. There's as much training as you have, you never know what you're going to see.
Walk into.
Yeah.
And that probably translated over to being an officer as well, right? Like you never know what you're going to walk into. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget that. So I told you about this before, but my buddy from high school, my best friend from high school, ended up being a DC police officer. But in high school, we used to go do ride-alongs all the time. So we would do the local police office and then sheriff's office, and we would go do ride-alongs in much different time frame back then with law enforcement. But the officer walked in the house. It was a domestic dispute situation. the officer walked in the house to check on whatever was going on, and there was a kid outside who he was like, hey, can you just hang out with this kid for a little bit? And so he's like put me on duty basically, and I'm standing out there with this kid.
Yeah.
And the kid all of a sudden like opens up his jacket, and he had like a kitchen knife that was like that big in there. And he was like,
God.
And he looked at me and he goes, I was gonna stab him. And I was like, okay. So here I am on a ride along. I'm like, I don't know, junior in high school. And this kid showed me this knife that he was going to stab his parents with. It was like that moment of like, all right, I'm outside alone with the kid. So I can't, that was like one of many instances. So I can't imagine if you did that every single night, the amount of stuff that you would see. All right, sorry. I got way off topic there. What made you, so once you stopped, or hit your goals with regard to family, you decided, all right, now I'm going to get back to pursuing dream, and that put you back down that direction?
Yeah.
Or did something happen that shifted you back to wanting to be an officer?
Well, I took like a 3-year break.
Yeah.
I had messed up my shoulder.
Yeah.
This was before I worked there. Before they had the stretchers that lifted themselves.
Yeah.
So each stretcher weighs 80 pounds. Your average
So you
patient's 350 pounds. So I just ended up breaking down one of my shoulders.
Wait, your average patient was 350 pounds?
That's statistics. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess that's because overweight people tend to have
A little more health issues. Yeah.
Holy crap. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah. So I finished that. I had my last 2 daughters pretty close together.
Yeah.
And then once the little one got about 18 months old, then I joined the police academy at that time.
Yeah. That was lifelong dream, or was that something you decided? Okay.
So let me tell you what happened. I have wanted to be a cop since I was 3 years old.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I stole a candy bar from a gas station on a church trip.
Yeah.
In a church bus. And when my parents realized I'd stolen this candy bar, obviously I was not allowed to eat it.
Yeah.
We stopped at the same gas station on the way back. And I had to go in there and explain that I stole this candy bar. And there was an officer there. He took out his handcuffs and he talked to me, and he actually put his handcuffs on my wrist, which, I mean, obviously I could have got my hands out of, but I was terrified. But then
did he do it in a
it was like a
let me show you how these work, or is it like I'm gonna take you to jail?
He was like this is what could happen if you keep stealing stuff. And then after it was all said and over, like, he gave me a sticker, and I got to sit in his car and like turn the lights on.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, I was like, I'm gonna be a cop someday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My candy bar stealing days are behind me, is what you said.
That's about right.
It was achieving a lifelong dream when you finally became an officer.
When I was a senior in high school as well, when you're a senior, you get those chalk markers and you write on your windows.
Yeah.
Mine said future police officer all over it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
How long were you on the force then?
4 years.
4 years.
4 years.
And that was split between Statesville and Lincoln County? Okay. And then how'd that go? Everything you thought that it would be?
Yes, I love it. And I mean, even to this day, I miss it.
Yeah.
Miss aspects. I think that once your blood turns blue, it never truly goes back.
Yeah.
I'm still really close to my guys. I had a instance a few months before I left where I almost didn't make it home.
Yeah.
And that kind of, I've got 2 biological kids. I have 2 stepkids. Or, I'm sorry, 4 biological kids, 2 stepkids. And, it kind of made me weigh out my options and decide, is my dreams more important? Is being there for my family more important?
Yeah. And that was ultimately what was the precursor for you deciding that, maybe choosing something else.
A little bit safer,
Yeah. That had to be hard for you, I can't imagine.
It was. Right? It was a very hard decision to make.
So what'd you decide to do? Would you start looking around?
I started looking around at HVAC apprenticeships.
Yeah. How'd you pick the trades in HVAC specifically?
So my dad's a contractor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as early as 5 years old, I was helping him lay brick.
Yeah.
And, so anything like that.
Was he just a masonry
No, he does
contractor?
everything.
He did everything.
Everything.
Okay.
I learned how to do all of that. So that was and I love working with my hands.
Yeah.
So, that was the only thing construction related that I didn't know how to do.
Yeah.
So it was more of, I want to increase my skills and learn how to do something different.
Yeah. So not too dissimilar from me, right? Because my dad taught me basically carpentry, electrical, plumbing, everything that you can think of, except for he didn't know anything about HVAC and I didn't know anything about HVAC. Yeah. So that's probably how I ended up down this wormhole as well, is that aspect of it was just one of the things that I didn't understand. And it was one of the things I couldn't call my dad about, right? Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool that you translated through the same path that I did of, you know, your dad taught you a lot of things. Not that he didn't know anything. It was just one of those trades that he was never taught or didn't know much about. So it led to my probably amplified curiosity of what HVAC is.
Oh, yeah. And then, I don't know, I'd been here for, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, and he had one of those old R22 reams that was like almost 30 years old, and it finally kicked the bucket. So I ended up installing his system for him.
That's awesome.
And redoing all his ductwork and everything, and that was kind of like a cool thing because, you know, your dad, your parents do so much for you growing up. Like, it was cool to be able to give back in that way.
Bring it full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know the parallels between being in, you know, emergency services, first responder type services, and this industry? Did you know that before you got into it, or did you just know, hey, it's a trade that I'm interested in?
Yeah, no, I did know that it is, you know, you respond when somebody needs you, and then I liked that aspect of it, being able to go in and help somebody, because, you know, that's why I got into emergency services in the first place. And then, you know, coming into it, there's a lot that goes into HVAC, and I struggled a little bit in the very beginning, and then what I ended up doing was converting the human body to a unit.
Yeah.
And made it make sense to me on how it works.
Yeah.
And, you know, what could be wrong when I was diagnosing and all of that.
Yeah. Did you do that in the classroom? You did it before, or you did it after?
Probably after I got in the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, there's certain symptoms that identify the source of the problem, just like, you know, a patient would.
Yeah, and like the line set, you got the arteries, you know, it's just like different things like that. I kind of put it together and figured out how to make my brain understand it in the moment.
Which honestly, I mean, that is what they do in medical school to a certain degree, is they try to dehumanize the human in a way of getting doctors to say, all right, this is a system, and how do I bring different solution sets to a broken system, right?
Yep.
So, you know, although morbidly cool, it's pretty cool that you were able to make that connection with a skill set that you had previously. Plus, I don't know, a lot of people think that we deal with stressful situations. I can't imagine some of the stressful situations that you probably dealt with. So that's got to help from, you know, being cool under pressure perspective, really had to help with the transition to the field.
Oh, yeah.
Did you find that to be the case?
Yeah, for the most part. I think when I first got on my own, I had a few panic moments, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing when you have somebody that's kind of walking you through it, and then you're out there by yourself, and it can feel very overwhelming at first, because there's so many parts, so many components, so many things that could be wrong, and a lot of those things have the same symptoms.
Yeah.
But the narrowing it down and all of that, I think there for a little bit it was a little overwhelming.
Yeah. All right, so I know they treat or teach officers a lot of just little, I don't know, safety habits, if you will, right? Like touching the trunk of a car before you're doing traffic stop, all that type of stuff. Were some of those habits hard to break when you got into the field, like when you're rolling up on a house, a service call at night, you know, checking around your surroundings before you knock on the door, you know, that type of stuff? Hard to get out of the car and not have a flashlight shining on the property?
So I have to say, like, I am still always very aware of my surroundings. And little known fact, it's not just to leave your fingerprints on the trunk. It's you push on the trunk to make sure that there's nobody in the trunk.
It's going to pop out.
That's going to pop out and ambush you from behind. But very aware of my surroundings. When I ring the door, and this is a habit that I have to, like, really think about and try to break every call. Because, you know, I've always, for one, knocked on the door like the popo. So, you know, trying to knock a little softer. But also I would always blade from the door.
Yeah.
Which means that they can't see me.
Yeah.
And, you know, in this profession. They need to see that I'm with Call Dad and I'm here to fix their unit and not me blade it off to the side like I'm ready to rush in and handle business if I need to. So that's something I still catch myself doing at times, is so blading at the door.
Yeah, natural things that you were taught for a very long time for your safety that now you have to think in the opposite manner of what gives the homeowner comfortability and feels. It's like the tides have changed quite a bit for you, and I'm sure that's very hard to navigate.
Yes, and like I have a lot of customers. They like to follow me around, which I'm completely fine with. But I cannot handle anybody directly behind me if you're not in my field of vision. So I'll have to try to find ways to be like, oh, here, step to this side, and you can see what I'm doing right here to get them from being over my shoulder, because that's something that's a little hair-raising for me. So. Yeah,
that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves is when somebody stands over my shoulder when I'm working on something or doing something. And it's really hard for me not to lose my mind over. In fact, my wife and I, we still, when we go to dinner, there's certain seats that I like to be in because I can observe more of the restaurant, have your back to a wall, that type of stuff. And it's we've been married for almost 15 years now, and still she struggles to understand why it makes me uncomfortable in certain positions. So especially when you're in, a crawl space or an attic or somewhere where you're, really in confined space and you've got somebody looking over your shoulder, I can't imagine that that's not an easy situation for you to be in.
Yeah. Usually I can be like, oh, if you shift over this way a little bit, you'll be able to see this a lot better, and I can explain what I'm doing. And, and then as long as they're in my field of vision, then I do a lot better.
Now, you've done a pretty good job of mentoring other techs. Is it that way when you know somebody? Like if a tech is looking over your shoulder, is it the same?
Oh, yeah, but I'm not as soft with them. I'll be like, don't be behind me. Move. I can't handle that. You need to get over here.
No.
Yeah.
You sit there. What drew you to, Dad U?
So when I was...
Well, number one, it was Sky back then.
Yeah,
right?
It was Sky back then. Yeah. So I was looking on Indeed and a couple places like that for apprenticeship options. Yeah. And I saw that when I applied to a couple of them. Yeah. But I don't know, that was the one I wanted. I can't tell you exactly why, but that's the one I wanted. So I applied for it and I sent an email. And I waited till the next day and I didn't hear anything. So I sent another email. And then I started where I was spending at least 1 to 2 emails a day. Yeah. And then once I went through the hiring process, they're like, we hired you because you were persistent. You wasn't going to leave us alone until we gave you the job. Yeah. So I was like, well, it's what I wanted, so I'm going to go for it.
So you knew you wanted to do an apprenticeship program. There was something about Sky that spoke to you once you were there. Is it what you imagined? Was it better, worse? More complicated, more difficult?
It was interesting. We were the first class.
That's the most polite way that I've heard somebody describe CDU Class 1 is interesting. So thank you for that. You can be more open we were figuring it out as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was the first class. Yeah. So, I understood coming into it that this was the first class. Yeah. And they were,
here, come be a guinea pig.
Yeah, that there were going to be kinks now as far as the structure of the classes and everything. That was great. Yeah. But, it's improved so much. I've watched every class go through. Yeah. And just seeing the changes to the program and how amazing it is. I'm not saying that it was bad when I went through, but you look at the classes today versus the class that I went through, and you're like, man, I wish we had all this stuff, like a lab. And the first time we ever got to touch a unit was when we went out in the field.
Correct.
So.
Yeah. And I know you and I had some conversations, but I've talked to a lot of people that were early on in that program, and I said, you have to understand that this is going to be more difficult for you than it's going to be for people after you. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those where nobody wants to be a guinea pig. Nobody wants... Most people don't want to be a guinea pig. Most people want the easy things. They don't want to work harder than the person behind them. That's why, it's a terrible analogy, but that's why like hazing in like fraternities, hazing in certain military branches, all that stuff becomes so prolific. It's because people want those behind them to have the same experience that they went through.
Yeah.
And it was a tough thing when we were building, Called at You, was that aspect of, we knew that it was going to be more difficult for the first few classes until we had critical mass. Because until you have critical mass, you don't have the depth of support and mentorship above of those that have been through it. So it was hard not to have people say, well, it's hard for me, it's hard for you. But really to have individuals like you and others that were in those early classes take people from, lower classes behind them and take them under their wing is pretty cool. But you never had any of that. You had a lot of people that were probably
bad influences.
Yeah. Not only that, but anti what we were trying to do with Dad U. They were against it. They didn't believe in it. There's no way that you could take somebody like you, stick you in the field, and expect you to learn. They're never going to learn it.
No.
Right? That's not how I learned it. So you had a lot of things going against you, and the fact that you prevailed through it or having a really successful career now is a huge testament to yourself. But what they've been able to improve over time with this as well.
Yeah, and I reached out to Caleb. So my 3-year anniversary here just passed.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. So I reached out to Caleb. Because I was getting I was having a sentimental moment. I was at work. I was working, but I said, how many texts we have now in Charlotte? And he sent back 16. Why? I was like, I'm just being sentimental. And he's like, oh God, why? And I was like, because if you take me out of it, that's 15 texts. And I have had a hand in field training every single one of the Charlotte techs.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of that. So, for me, being the guinea pig and, going through everything that we went through in the beginning stages, I'm proud to say I've been here since the start. Yeah. And, that now I get to field train. Every single class that's went through, I've gotten students from everyone, and I'm really proud of that.
It really is crazy to think about. When you moved from Hickory to Charlotte, you were the only tech in Charlotte that was part of Dad U.
Yeah.
Very quickly, the only tech in Charlotte. And then now Charlotte, as you mentioned, 16, and every single one of them through Dad U, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is very cool.
Yeah.
It is very cool.
All right. I know you mentioned a few things, specifically with training, lab, all that type of stuff. What's the coolest thing that you think has changed from class 1 to, now we're recruiting for class 10? What's the biggest change that you've seen?
I'd say two biggest changes that.
Nope, you only get one.
I only get one?
No, I'm joking.
I mean, they're both kind of really good.
You can get 3 if you want. No, 2 is fine.
So the 2 biggest would be the lab, and they're actually getting to check.
Yeah.
These are running systems in the lab that they actually can diagnose and work on, but also the fact that they're tools.
Yeah.
The tool count and being able to have that start with the tools and stuff, because I'll tell you, I took a $10 an hour pay cut to come here.
Yeah.
And getting all of those tools in the beginning was very hard.
Yeah.
Very hard to be able to pull all that together. You're just getting a better start in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lab and tools. I'm going to not disagree, but I'm going to go back to what we were talking about earlier, that I think the biggest thing is, to give credit to you, is you. Right? Like, to have people like you above these next generations of CDU apprentices is just awesome. Like, to me, that's really the differentiating factor in what this program has done, is it's achieved critical mass.
Yeah.
And we talked about that so much in the early days of, all right, once we get to CDU 5, 6, 7, we're going to have that critical mass where we've got individuals who have been through the program, who have graduated from the program, that have enough belief in the skill set that they've learned, enough belief in the culture that they're a part of, that they can go back to those younger, brand new apprentices and say, hey, it's going to be okay. Like, I've got your back. Like, you've got, and again, even if you went back to CDU1 and you had the lab, the tools, it would have been cool. Like, don't get me wrong. Cool. Like, those are awesome improvements that we've been able to make.
Yeah, having that support would have definitely, definitely.
But you still wouldn't have had Liz.
No.
You know what I mean? So give yourself, I don't want to, but back to reminiscing of 3 years here and all that type of stuff. Like, that's, to me, that's the really cool part. And that's probably the best thing that we have going right now is people like you who have been through it, and what you're doing in Charlotte, where you've got a whole host of lower classes behind you now that you're supporting and mentoring. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I love it. They do what I call them field trip Fridays, is where on Fridays they're either in the lab or they're riding with one of us.
Yeah.
And they a lot of times they'll argue on like who gets to ride with me. Yeah. And I make sure that I get to take everybody out. And I had only one student out of all of them that I picked up one day, and they just looked terrified. And so I'm talking to them, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, oh, honestly, I'm a little scared. I was like, why are you scared? And they're like, because I'm riding with you. And I was like, and what do you mean? Like, I'm nice. I think I'm nice. Everybody thinks I'm nice. And like, no, you're the OG. Like, you're the first one. You're the senior tech. I'm like scared. And I'm like, it's going to be fine.
And in 3 years, did you think you would go from brand new apprentice to the OG?
No. Did not think that. But
how did that make you feel when you heard him say that?
To me, it was kind of like, it cracked me up. It was kind of like, because I just look at, I'm me, I'm goofy, it's just like, there's no reason to be scared of it. Like, I'm not even the popo anymore. Like, why are you scared to be in my car? So.
They get in the car and you're giving them a list of, all right, don't stand here, stay in front of me at all times. Is that what's going on, Liz?
Stay in my field of vision, yeah.
How did that happen? Is that something like, all right, looking back at paramedic days, looking back at officer days, is that something that you did in those fields? How did this come about that you really got drawn to enjoying mentorship?
I was never like a field training officer.
Yeah.
We all tried to mentor each other.
Yeah.
Especially when we had new guys coming in. But I was never like in that position. So when, like you said, I was the only technician for a little while.
Yeah. Didn't have a choice.
Yeah. So when we got Nick, Micah, and Michael, 2 of them went to install, and I trained them one at a time in the field. Once they got out of the class, we did hands-on field training, and I just realized at that point that like I really liked doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, you asked me to help my kids with their homework, I'm gonna get frustrated. I can't handle it, so I would not have thought that I would have enjoyed this. But I guess where it's something that's hands-on, it's just.
So it's just necessity.
It was necessity at that point, yeah. But I really enjoyed it.
I don't want to do all this by myself, so I guess I'm going to have to train some other folks to be able to do it.
Yes.
Let me ask, is it the same with kids for you? Are you good? I know we were joking about math homework earlier, but are you good? No.
No, I would say teachers get like mad props from me.
Yeah.
I cannot handle the homework thing.
Yeah.
Like,
what about stuff you've always got? Obviously, projects. We've talked about some of the projects you've got going on at home. If they wanted to help out with that, are you good?
Yes.
Training with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why. Like, I guess I'm gonna admit that I'm not always a good dad here, but for some reason, like my patience level
is very thin when it comes
kids,
to the homework. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. It's hard for me.
Yeah.
Everything. It's like. You're my kid when I tell you once, you But I give so much more grace to other people with things, maybe. But
well, and the majority of my kids have ADHD like I do, so like they're starting to read the passage in the book so I can sign off on it, and then they're squirreling off somewhere, and I'm like, no, you got to finish reading this. Like, I'm not signing it unless you read it. Yeah.
All right, hit me with one piece of advice that you would give to new apprentices that have either just gotten to the field, just gotten to classroom, or thinking about applying to DADU. What's one piece of advice that you would give somebody going through the program now?
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
None of us expect you to come out of the class knowing everything.
Yeah.
And I would much rather you call a senior tech or call a trainer than make a misdiagnosis. Now, you're going to misdiagnose. You know, even if you're calling someone to walk you through it, we can help you, point you in the right direction, but we're also not there. So, you know, misdiagnoses are going to happen. And when they do happen, don't beat yourself up for it.
Yeah.
But also, don't be afraid to ask for help. None of us, you know, especially those that have been through the program, are going to ever look at you like you're dumb.
Yeah.
Because we've all been in those same exact shoes.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, you have a amazing support system here. Utilize it.
Yeah. That's a great answer. And we were talking about that last week at level 1 completion. Had a little ceremony. CDU 9, I guess it is, completed level 1. And we were talking about that dynamic of calling for help. And it seems like there's two things that happen on a regular basis where people will spend too much time trying to figure out something that they're struggling with and kind of lost before they call for help. So they'll spend 45 minutes, whatever it is, trying to figure out the same problem before calling for help. And it's like, what you need to do is have your standard progression. And then if you get stuck on something, like, start a timer. Mm-hmm. And if you can't figure it out in X number of minutes, whatever it is that you want to set that time for yourself, once that timer goes off, phone a friend.
Yeah.
Like, build peers. Obviously, there's a whole list. Matt Stewart always talks about, Derek always talks about the 5 layers of support. There's tons of support out there. Phone a friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
The flip of that, though, is calling prematurely.
Yes.
So there are some that have been guilty of, calling, asking for help, and having no information, right? So it's a nice little Goldilocks zone of making sure that you're prepared, get the right information, have the proper details, so that when you make a phone call, you've got that information to share. But also don't feel like you have to be so prepared that you spin your wheel forever and it ends up hurting you and the customer, right? So just be thoughtful.
Yeah, and if they call me prematurely, because that's the first thing I start asking, well, send me pictures of your gauges, send me pictures of this, and they're like, well, I haven't checked this, and this. Okay, well, do that.
There's
call me
your
back.
Problem. Yeah.
Click. So once they get everything together and they still need help figuring out, narrowing down, then, we'll go from there. But the majority of mine, when they call me, when they need help, they've already texted the pictures, and then I get the phone call.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, look at this, and kind of help me narrow it down.
Yeah.
So, it is a fine line, a good little zone in the middle where it needs to be, but we did all start there. I didn't have that support in the field.
Yeah.
I had to figure it out, and sometimes it'd take me 4 hours.
Yeah.
I'd figure it out eventually, but it got me down to where I can diagnose fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Because I've been here and
you've been here
seen it. Yeah.
Last major or maybe difficult question that I'm going to ask you, which is overall organization progression, right? I don't know if you remember, but I remember a conversation that we had very early on into you being in the field, right? We as an organization have been through countless and countless changes. And I've always told people, like, hey, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Even though we move as fast as we do move, I say, my new line is we're 100% fast, 70% correct. We're going to make mistakes. Things constantly change. But you've been here for 3 years now. You've seen the Sky days. You saw the transition to the Call Dad days. You've seen where the culture has come today.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very long way of me asking, how would you, not define, but how would you characterize Call Dad's culture today? How it's progressed over that time to what is it today?
It's a family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So I got my home family and then I got my work family. I tell you, when you guys, moved to the corporate office, it was like a solid month that I didn't know where y'all were. And like, I called the work wives. They were all texting me like, why haven't you come and seen us? Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know where y'all are. So somebody texted me the address and like I popped up and got tackled from like all sides. Because it's like a family,
Yeah.
and anytime, even when, like twice a year we have the big meetings,
Yeah.
and we might only see the guys from the other locations twice a year.
Yeah.
And the newer guys, we don't know them, but like the ones that we've all been here this whole time, like it's like a family reunion, getting to see everybody and catch up, and I love it. I love the culture here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. One big part of that family dynamic is supporting each other in their dreams through our PDP process. I know you've got a pretty big dream. I know you've made a lot of awesome steps towards it. You've shown me a lot of pictures of things. What's your big dream? What are you trying to do?
So we got 6 acres.
Yeah.
Kind of out in the country.
Still awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we sold the big house, and we have built 3 tiny houses. I say tiny houses, but really they're small homes. It's bigger than like your average tiny house.
Yeah.
They're 2-story barns that we have built from the ground up, and 2 of them have full downstairs, upstairs, so they're about 800 square feet.
Yeah.
Mine, we wanted a loft, so we have a half loft, so we lost some square footage there, but I mean it's turning out really good, and I have some experience with the building and all of that with my dad. But I did not know electrical, did not know plumbing, and we did everything ourselves.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to be an electrician.
Yeah.
And learn how to be a plumber. Did our septic systems, dug from the well to the houses and ran the water lines. I mean, we did it all. And we've done it all in less than a year. We're almost done. We're living there now. It's like the finishing touches, prettying them up a little bit. The outsides are still not painted. They're like a really ugly tan from factory color siding, so we'll get to painting them eventually.
Small steps.
Just little steps. It feels like big steps a lot of times because I work and then I go home to work.
Yeah.
So we see the light at the end of the tunnel, so we are very excited to actually have some of our life back, and actually get to do more of the fun things. We're going to take a break once we get everything completed, and then we have another barn that we built. It's a big barn, not 2-story, just a big single-story barn that we call the party barn. So that's where we'll have like our events and stuff. It's also going to be like the community center on the property, so it'll have the really big kitchen and her salon and everything in there.
Well, it's awesome. I know you've been talking about it for a long time, and I just want to give a shout out for you of, actually making progression towards a dream and a goal. And you've made huge steps there, so congratulations to you. It's really cool to see that come together over time.
Yeah, thank you.
I forgot to ask, any crazy stories in crawl spaces, attics, anything bananas you want to share that you've seen in the field?
Yeah. So for the longest time, everybody in the office called me Bones, because I was in a crawl space taking pictures of some bad ductwork, trying to get them a quote for
the
ductwork.
longest time. No one calls you Bones anymore?
Yeah, no, not really. They, it's usually...
They've moved on.
Yeah, they've moved on.
All right, so you were in a crawl space.
And I was taking pictures. It was dark. My headlamp had died, so I'm crawling around in there, and I'm switching between my flashlight on my phone to like the flash camera, and I took a picture, and something had caught my eye, and I was like, "What is that? A ham bone?" And I like pulled up the picture, and I zoomed in, and I was like, So I turned on the flashlight again, and I got a little closer to it, and I was like, "No, that's a femur. That's a femur." So at that point, I knew these people that were in there were renters, and this was old. So I'm like, I'm not in like danger or anything. But I crawled out, and then I ended up calling the manager at the time, who then called Derek. And they were like, yeah, you should probably call and have somebody check that out. So called the police office there and talked to them. And they're like, yeah, well, we're going to send, like...
CSI.
Yeah, we're going to send everybody out forensics, and we're going to get in there. And I was like, well, you need a tiny officer, because this crawl space, I kid you not, was this big.
Yeah. And
I'm like, tiny. I was like, just...
Yeah, heads up.
If you got to pull somebody small off of patrol and send them out here, that's what you're going to do, or you're not going to get in there. And they're like, did you touch it? I was like, I just told you. I used to be a cop. I didn't touch it. I took pictures. I was like, no, I didn't touch it. I can tell you exactly where it is. But, hands off.
Did you ever find out what happened?
They didn't never reach back out to me. I do know that they collected it and, sent it off and all that. But I wasn't necessarily involved. I was just the reporting party, so I wasn't privy to any of the information that came after.
The Bay Harbor butcher of Hickory.
Yeah.
Was this in Hickory?
No, this was Gastonia.
Oh, okay. Well,
makes a little more sense.
That explains it. Enough said. Okay. Wrapping up here now. Before we finish, well, I appreciate you sharing that story. And actually, what's going on here now? They're back?
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to get someone on the ground.
Yeah, I think they might need some help.
All right, well, if it's manpower they need, I'm going to head out and help them out.
Awesome. Thank you, Liz.
Absolutely.
Go get them. All right. Till next time.
Come on, Liz. Help us out. It smells